Good morning, all. I'm Luis Miguel Lexo. I'm the Manager Director and Co-Founder of RecBC Projects. I hope you enjoyed that song today. It's actually from our favourite NFT artist and musician, SOS. That was actually one of his repertoires, Force Right, with a sort of jungle theme to it. So we're going to actually have an NFT giveaway of SOS's music. So you got to be listening live to be able to qualify. So just make sure you take a screenshot in terms of being in this space and post it as a comment. So then we can actually pick out and send you the NFT of the SOS music. Today we've got a fantastic show today, where today we're focusing around real estate tokenization, but with a twist. It's real estate tokenization on the Ravencoin blockchain. So today's session is just focusing in terms of real estate on the Ravencoin blockchain. So today, actually my co-host today, Jake, he actually is at a family issue. He can't actually join us today. Shout out Jake. Hope everything's all right with your family. I know he's up to something unexpected. So shout out to Jake. Send the love out to you and your family, mate. Hope you're well. But we got a special guest this week. We got Sarah Jenkins and Dan. Not too sure whether Dan's in yet, but we'll probably just give a few minutes for people to join in. Hey, Sarah. Sarah's in. I'll quickly say hello to you. I've added as a speaker, and we'll sort of start the formalities once we sort of have a bit of a chat, just an ad hoc chat before we start the formalities. But thank you for joining, Sarah.
Thanks. Good to be here, and Dan is also with me. We're just on one account.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's always hard to have.
It's a little easier that way.
It's always hard to have two phones going at the same time. I know we have the same problem, Mrs. Britt. We've tried that before, so great move.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. Look, really appreciate you guys joining us today. Obviously, we're focused around the Ravencoin blockchain with real estate. As the obviously in terms of tokenizing on the Ravencoin blockchain, and you guys obviously are pretty much in the deep at the moment, which won't reveal. Don't tell us yet. Leave that for a bit later on to reveal the finer details as to the journey you guys are on with tokenizing your properties on the Ravencoin blockchain. But yeah, really appreciate you joining us today.
Well, thank you for having us. It's been a while since we've done an update, so it'll be good.
We had you on probably about 2 months ago now, wasn't it? Probably more than 2 months. Time just flies. I mean, it's crazy. Just to talk us now, and it's like you think, where's the last? Where's the? It just seems like Christmas.
It's true.
Yeah, especially when you're building things, right? Time just goes fast.
Yes.
But look at just saying hello out to On The Block. Thank you for joining. Sunny, thank you for joining us. Philly, Brave, thank you for coming in and joining us and hearing the session live. I mean, this session is being recorded, obviously, and we do put them up on our various socials so people can actually listen to later if they couldn't make it today. But it's always once it's recorded, it's out there so people can listen in their own time. They can listen twice, 3 times if they miss something live. So, but yeah, look, this has been a great content. Sometimes you sort of think that you might only get a few turning up. It's amazing how many people contact me and Jake after the sessions, and they've listened to the recordings. And so there's the beauty about technology that people can then just listen and basically DM us if they've got queries and. But yeah, so it's again, we're all playing our part in educating, and especially around real estate tokenization. And I think the more people are doing it, the more we bring mainstream, as we call it, to actually understand what the great opportunity is going forward. As I said, we're still at hoc, just a bit of chit chat, allow a few minutes before we actually start the formalities. Anything sort of interesting, Dan and Sarah, that you guys are seeing out there, just in general? As the whole supply chain over there in terms of materials, is that going to be any easier for you guys? Obviously, given in terms of building the property.
Yeah, the supply chain issues seem to be softening up quite a bit. Lumber prices are way down, which is nice, and but windows are still kind of sketchy to get what you want, unless you're buying just kind of stock stuff. But garage doors are a little bit of a challenge too. But other than that, it seems to be as far as material wise, it seems to be getting a little easier for us to build and remodel. But labor wise is outrageous. Yeah. You can't find a plumber that's not at least 2 months out right now. It's ridiculous. But
is that because nobody wants to work at the moment?
Well, I think that we're just, you think about what happened in 2008 with the crash and all those kids coming out of high school that would have gone into the trades, plumbers, electricians, HVAC guys, and they didn't because there was no work at the time in 2008 through 2013, because the market was so depressed. And so I think we're really feeling that now because those kids that graduated in 2008, they'd be in their mid 30s right now, and they'd be the workhorses of the home production, kind of thing. And I think we're just missing out on that. There's just not enough people to go around.
It's been common problem, Dan. I mean, I know here in Australia, it's very similar to what you're saying. Obviously, in terms of the less kids taking up trades, obviously COVID's had a bit of impact. It's had actually, I talked to an electrician yesterday. I mean, the big problem, material seems to be sort of easy, getting hold of materials, but it's actually the people actually, obviously, in the businesses that have been knocked around with COVID. That's even like yesterday, I was talking to the electrician. He said, is 6 boys, so they've all had COVID in the last sort of 2 months. So that means just the whole progress on jobs. He goes, I've got jobs I can't complete, I can't invoice because the boys have still got to go back and finish the job. So like money's sitting on site on all a few jobs that they can't invoice. So it's just affecting the whole flow. And so again, he said material's not a problem. We can get materials. It's just in terms of when we're in the wholesalers, they organise the materials for us. It's trying to get them to have that sort of continuity is the major issue they're experiencing.
And then it's like once one gets delayed, then it's hard to get back on track. So it's been a challenge. We kind of experienced that this winter with COVID and going through all our subcontractors. It kind of seemed like.
It is a challenge. I mean, like I said, there's certainly some commonalities between us and yourselves over there. And I think we've just, here in Brisbane in particular, we've sort of been hit a little bit, when we talk about labour resource, a little bit even more of a challenge because we did have some floods around 3 months ago. So there was a lot of repair work. So the insurance is sucking up those resources from labour resources. So that just added to the problem.
Yes. I was like, we had a storm in our area about
2 months ago.
Yeah, May. So pretty much all my closings have had new roofs.
So a hailstorm came through just north of where we are, and that's also sucked up a lot of the labor to get all those roofs replaced.
Yeah. Interesting.
It just puts pressures on the flow of jobs, puts pressure on pricing because obviously you've got holding costs and all that stuff that goes with it, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're just past the 10 past, so we might just start the formalities. So today, this session we have at the same time, same place every week. Is Real Estate Tokenization, where we'll start with the fundamentals, and then we go into the topic. Today's topic is about the Ravencoin blockchain and tokenizing real estate on it. And there's actually not too many of us, which I'll sort of cover that before we get in deep. And then we'll sort of open it up for a bit of a Q&A. Once we've gone through the topic, we can we'll do a wrap-up at the end. So, but today, as I said, we're fortunate to have Dan and Sarah, Jen Jenkins. They're tokenizing their real estate properties, and they are, in terms of the Ravencoin blockchain, they're very much the pioneers. They, although we've we've started the journey tokenizing real estate, but we started on the Ethereum blockchain, and then we had to pivot given the challenges, and well, obviously tokenizing on the Ravencoin. But in terms of the first ones, they are very much the pioneers on the Ravencoin blockchain. But we would do it before you sort of give us an update, Dan and Sarah, and sort of tell us a bit of in terms of where about yourselves, or where things are at, and about in terms of the next few months, what that looks like for you. But before we do, I always ask our guests to give us the definition of what is real estate tokenization. Give us your definition. I always put people on the spot at the beginning because everybody's obviously got different little twists and little the definitions, and we're accumulating all these definitions.
Yeah, that's to nail down like a definition of it. It's pretty broad. Can be pretty broad thing here, but it's a fractionalized ownership with a distributed cap table, I guess, that allows for peer-to-peer transactions, right? Is that kind of what we're dealing with? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's a very simple and very precise definition. Yeah, can't be any clearer. And actually, I will come to the end of the year. I'm actually going to put all these together in everybody's definitions, and hopefully, trying to actually bring mainstream. Hopefully, they'll sort of touch somebody's if they all different definitions.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Webster.
Yeah,
see what happens.
That's it. But, no, thank you for that. It's always great to get people's view and obviously definition of it. But probably in terms of to start off with, just introduce yourselves and your business in terms of what you guys are doing, and
Yeah. Well, my name's Sarah Jenkins. I'm a real estate agent, and I'm licensed in Minnesota and Wisconsin. My husband, Dan, is a general contractor, primarily focused on new construction in River Falls, Wisconsin. And then we've kind of done a little bit of everything when it comes to the construction side of things. Lots of flip to rent, flip to sell. We also have a management company, and we handle all those maintenance calls, that kind of stuff. Anything you want to add?
That's about it.
Yeah.
That's great. It's I know. Obviously, we've had to be on the show, but it's always great to sort of for people to listen for the first time in the recording, just to sort of hear in terms of who you guys are. I mean, obviously, a lot of us in the Ravencoin community obviously know who you guys are, but probably for the benefit of people that hear or hearing the recording to sort of get understanding about what you guys are up to. But in terms of the Ravencoin blockchain, obviously you guys are going to be the first ones do you want to just talk about in terms of your journey, the start of your journey, go back in terms of what decided you to tokenize real estate, and give us a bit of an update where the journey's at the moment?
Yeah. So we first came across Ravencoin. We're looking for something else to mine. Came across, we're hobbyist miners, and we came across it in a blog. And then when the asset layer came out, that's when we decided we wanted to tokenize real estate. And it took us until probably March of last year to we found DigiShares, and so that's been key for, I think, all of us that are in tokenizing real estate on Ravencoin is connecting with DigiShares, and they've been able to help us to get where we are today. We're still a work in progress in terms of getting everything lined up, but we've got our first project that I will have another kind of a final product update video or something coming up here in the next couple of weeks. But the house is completed, and
we've created.
Yes, we have created the token.
Nice. That must be exciting to see the formality of that.
Yes, absolutely. It's exciting. So that's kind of where we're at on that. First property, we did change our minds, and we're gonna, it'll be a Reg CF offering.
We originally did Reg D, but we feel the Ravencoin ethos is more centered around like a Reg CF. I feel Ravencoin's more of a people's coin, and Reg CF is more of is open to everyone, whereas the Reg D is just accredited investors. So we thought the heart of the project was more leaning towards a Reg CF offering than Reg D, so everyone could participate. So our Reg D offering was ready, but we scratched it. And now we're redoing it as Reg CF. And at this point, we're just waiting for DigiShares to finalize their Reg CF platform. And it's interesting because they should have it, I think, and maybe you know this too. I think they're only a couple weeks out from having it completed, but they will be the first Reg CF platform in the world that offers digital securities. And I think that's kind of might have been a little bit of what's kind of the bump in the road that's as to why it's taken them so long to get that Reg CF and everything through FINRA. But it's exciting.
And it's worth the wait.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Obviously, it's we've all been through it in terms of you like the things move a lot quicker than they do. There's always something, little hurdles that pop up, and you just keep knocking them down, right? And but again, these guys are obviously very much the pioneers, and to be fair, probably for the listeners, is that these guys these guys are to blame for DigiShares introducing Ravencoin to their platform. Because, which is a good thing. I'm saying it's a good thing because obviously that's how we managed to pivot away from Ethereum to the Ravencoin, and we blame these guys for DigiShares to introduce that to their token studios, the Ravencoin platform.
Yeah, when I talked to Klaus the first time, he we went through what their platform does, what it's all about, and all that, and it's very, very impressive what they have going on, and at the end of the conversation, I'm like, okay, that's great, but you're gonna have to do it on Ravencoin. And he was and they were aware of Ravencoin, and Klaus, he was like, yeah, I think that's a really good idea. So I mean, he was aware. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Because again, obviously when we started the journey last year, there was no such thing as Ravencoin. Hence why we adopted the Ethereum blockchain as our first one. And so come October, November, that's when we started hearing about the Ravencoin, and obviously all its history. But yeah, no, it's, so in terms of, obviously you guys had a bit of an understanding what the Ravencoin blockchain was all about because you were mining it and obviously purposely built to tokenize assets on it. So you actually had that great grounding already, which made it easy to obviously convince Klaus as to why the Ravencoin should be added, because obviously that's the future, right?
Yeah, it did, but honestly, it didn't. I didn't really have to convince him of anything. He was on board right from the very beginning. So it was pretty cool.
But yeah, that conversation you had with Klaus back then. I had the same conversation 2 days ago with Mark Danker with the real estate exchange for the secondary market about the Ravencoin. But I'll probably touch on that later on. But yeah, it's I'll go into a bit later on. But let's keep focusing in terms of your project. So it's obviously in terms of, apart from obviously with DigiShares and getting that all ready and sorted, obviously the compliance side of things with the regs has obviously been sort of a major part that's sort of holding things up for you as well.
Well, we've got so our attorneys we use Bull blockchain law in Pennsylvania, and they've got we've got all of the documents and everything that we need to go on that. I think we're all ready and everything's set to go, and it's just we're just at this point it's less of what we have to do, and we're just waiting on the DigiShares platform to be able to get going. But the house, the first house is built, finished. We've got it rented out, and renters are moving in about in the fall, month or two. And then we've got two other houses. One's about 50% done. That's a new construction. Then that'll be our second offering. And then we've got a third home that we picked up, and it was kind of a mess. The house was, and we went through and we've been gutting it and put it back together for the last month and a half. So that'll be the third offering, and but that one we already have rented out for October 1st as well. So
the stock's not it.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. So in terms of from a time perspective, what's sort of, if you had to put the magic wand and everything fall into line, what are you sort of looking as a timeline for the first one and then second and third one thereafter?
Well, I think the first two will go live probably at the same time, actually. Let me pull up this email from Gabriel, and he said that they're in a Q&A process with FINRA right now, and that's where he said they'd be the first funding portal ever authorized for digital securities. And he said he's hoping to be ready to go next month. So we're about a month out, is what it sounds like.
Nice. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
In terms of, like I said, there's only you guys are going to be the first ones. We're going to be following. So you're knocking down the hurdles for us by the time we take over the second properties. Which I'm hoping, and we're making some announcements tomorrow on ours, but I'm hoping it's an easy transition after you guys have knocked the hurdles in leading.
We hope so too.
It might be a little bit of the blind leading the blind here, but we'll all get through it.
That's it. Because obviously got Jake with. I mean, in terms of known players, platforms, obviously us, and we've got Jake from the Well Homes is obviously focusing. I think he's targeting sort of later on the year to do their property. So I guess we're sort of clearing the way for him to come in. But to be honest, in terms of the people I'm talking to, people who are actually approaching me and obviously trying to get a gauge as where they should be tokenizing their properties on. There is a massive wave coming, and obviously we're all setting the lead in terms of Ravencoin. But and I just keep talking it up because again, it's where we know what the chain is all about. Obviously, we in terms of being purposely built for tokenizing assets, real estate. And again, it's for us. We just say it's a no-brainer because we've been through the experience of the Ethereum, and hence why we have to pivot. So when I talk to people out there about projects in Europe, buildings, they're tokenizing buildings for $85 million. Just during this week, some properties in Brazil, agricultural land in Brazil, they're looking at tokenizing. So again, they were looking at some other chain. I said, have a look at Ravencoin. This is what we're doing. So the wave is getting it is getting bigger in terms of planning and what chain to tokenize on, and certainly Ravencoin will be it's becoming more at front of mind in terms of people actually tokenizing their real estate tons. Obviously, STM market guys, they do a great job and they're big advocates of the Ravencoin blockchain. So again, as themselves as advisors to their clients, hopefully we can be in front of mind every time, because again, it's the old saying, the rising tides raises all boats, and I'm a big believer of that. So in terms of sort of looking sort of in the next sort of 5 years, can you sort of share your vision then, Sarah, about in terms of your tokenization platform? Because obviously you guys are the builders, just building the properties, which has got a bit more control of the whole flow of things, to somewhat subject to labour resources and materials, as we spoke before. But do you want to just share with us sort of a 5-year vision around what that looks like?
Well, I think one thing, when we first started this journey, like about 1.5 years ago, the market was different. It has shifted where we're at. So at that time, we thought definitely new construction was the way to go, and I still think it is. I mean,
it works.
It works, yeah. And then
right now
we are.
The new construction now, the new construction that we're running into now, the I guess the roadblock that we're going to be hitting here is there's not any cheap land. Like in the city that we build in here, like we've run out of city lots to build on.
Yep, and our second project was the last available lot in the city. We scooped it up in December. Yeah.
And 1 year ago, our thought was, well, we'll do new construction because there are no houses available to buy at a decent price to be able to rent, or would make a good investment, just because of multiple offer situations and stuff like that. And anything that looked like it might need a rehab, people were so desperate for housing that they're still bidding up, crappy houses. But
now we are starting to see, we're seeing more opportunity, I would say, in previously owned homes.
Yeah.
And some multifamily opportunities.
We're looking at a couple duplexes here just this week that we could potentially be that are just sitting there on the market, and they're pretty cheap. I mean, one of them is $175,000, and
I've been pretty much told that the seller will take quite a bit less.
Quite a bit less, yeah. So the market's definitely changed. So I think from here on out, we're going to probably focus less on new construction and more on rehab of existing homes.
I guess with interest rates, obviously, you guys were smashed this month, 1.75. And I think it's going to be a continuing trend. I think there'll probably be a few more rises to go. Obviously, puts pressure out there on people which slows the whole market, which is not good for you, Sarah, because obviously, as a real estate agent, it slows things up from your perspective.
Yep.
Your other business.
Hopefully not. No. It's definitely slow over here in terms of that. But that is one thing that I think we're gonna see in the next. That's what we see in the future. And then the other thing is we do get a number of emails, calls, messages for people wanting to tokenize their own projects. So we hope to have down the road onboard other projects to our platform.
Yep. We just have to have the right plan on how that moves forward, where liabilities lie, what where profit comes in and stuff like that. We just got to figure out.
Yeah, it's something I just have to be. It's one of those things you just have to be very very strict to your brand and your model, because we've had a couple of approaches ourselves. Can we tokenize our property on your platform? I said no, that platform's for us. We want to be in full control of what gets done. We can buy stuff from developers. Obviously, we intend to build our own as well and engage a builder. But at this stage, it's not probably 2 years away from that. So we're just buying straight from the builder developer. But yeah, we've had a few approaches like these guys. In terms of I think that's one area is going to have to be very, very careful. I believe. But for us, we just say no. So you want to access our property, you can buy our tokens and access our property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's the thing. I think some people, they hear about this and they don't quite understand what tokenization is. And like if you own like an income producing, say you own a commercial building and you want to tokenize it, well, like you're relinquishing your control of how that business is run and how that because if you brought, if someone like near us brought us a mall and they wanted to tokenize it, and we'd be like, sure, but then we've got to manage it, and you're just one of the owners. You're just like, maybe there's 87 to 150 owners of this tokenized project, and now you're just one of them, and you don't really have any more say in this project than anyone else, and I don't think people quite get that. They think that they can tokenize part of their house and still manage it and stuff like that, but that's not really how that pans out. It's our platform, so we have to do the management of the properties because it's our risk.
And to touch on that one there, so do you want to sort of explain this, your model? So in terms of you build the property or renovate the property, and then tokenizing, just tell us the journey of that property token series thereafter. Obviously, it's owned by each property is obviously owned by a special purpose vehicle as an LTC, LLT, I believe. And then that property just sort of takes on a journey of that, when that property gets built and thereafter, in terms of that property.
Sure. Yeah. So right, the corporate wrapper around each property has its own LLC. It has and then yes, then a token is created for each property, a different series. Now, an LLC can own maybe multiple properties, a single LLC, which is kind of how we're doing it with our Reg CF offering. Everything's under the same corporate wrapper, but then that corporation offers different series of shares or different series of tokens, and each of those tokens represent, a different property. We were looking at maybe having like more of like a LLC that owns a bunch of properties, and then when you own when you buy a token, you own a basket. You own a small portion of a basket of properties. But I think maybe later on we could do something like that. But for right now, it's each property has its own series of tokens, so you can buy them individually. Yeah. Is that kind of what you're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. So then basically, once that's tokenized, and you obviously the token holders that buy the tokens, you guys stay involved. Obviously, you manage the property, and and that's indefinitely. So is there sort of a timeline where you look at maybe selling at some point, or is that property held indefinitely?
I think the property is held indefinitely. I don't see why we would. Unless there's some crazy thing that happens with the market or government intervention or something like that, the plan would be to hold the asset forever on the platform. As different investors come in, if they feel like their exit strategy is, say, they hold it for 12 years and then sell, then that's the beauty of tokenization, is they don't have to get all their partners on board to sell the property. They just sell their tokens, and they can block. Yeah, they can. The liquidity, and they can just walk away from it and sell it to a different investor, which is, I think, just the coolest thing about the whole tokenization concept. Everyone can still have their own goals within each project. So yeah, that's where we're looking at. And then 5 years from now, we plan, once this thing gets rolling and we get a few going and whatnot, it would be it's going to be I think we're going to focus all of our energy on finding properties that offer a good return for investors, fixing them up and getting them tokenized. And hopefully, whether that's 12 a year or 100 a year, it's going to just depend on how much investment we get and see how it goes, I guess.
That was going to be my next question. So, assuming no barriers, no nothing, from your perspective, where do you guys see in terms of what's the ideal number doing, like 10 per year, 20 per year, 100 per year in the ideal world, based on that there's the demand there and what have you. Are you sort of guys, in terms of your model, are you sort of targeting particular numbers given no barriers?
No barriers. It'd be about 50 a year, I think. That's about one a week. With our current staff, I think it'd be tough, but we could do it. But we're looking to expand, hire more people, and get more subcontractors and whatnot. So we're not.
And that would be in Wisconsin as well. Is that where you sort of want to stay? Because if that's the case, you're going to own the whole bloody state by the time.
Well,
but on a serious note, geographical areas, that's sort of the area you're going to be focusing on. You're going to sort of expand out from there.
I think right now we're really just focused on Western Wisconsin.
At least the next year. But so we are right over the border from Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota.
30 minutes from St. Paul.
Yeah, we're technically a suburb of St. Paul. So the next after if we hit market saturation in Western Wisconsin, we'll bounce over the border and start buying some stuff in Minnesota.
That's exciting. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess probably I guess the challenge could be that getting the staff to be able to manage all the numbers of properties. That's always going to be the challenge, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So in terms of just coming back to once all tokens are sold for each property, the journey starts. So tell us about the rent. You guys pay the rent out to the property token holders each month, each year. What's the plan there?
Currently, the plan is quarterly, just a quarterly dividend to be paid out to investors, holders of property tokens. That'll just like everything else, it'll just get paid on the platform.
Which is quite obviously with the DigiShare platform, as we both know, quite easy to do, isn't it? In terms of everything's already programmed in, and then basically that just goes out to the token holders, right? Yep.
Just a couple clicks of the button, and away we go.
Yep.
That's fantastic. So tell us now in terms of secondary market. Obviously, we know we can do it on our own platforms. Obviously, that's the beauty of DigiShare is the platform they've created for us. Tell us about it in terms of obviously the starting point. People can buy and sell straight away once all tokens are sold on the platform. They can buy and sell between each other. Tell us about it in terms of where you see the secondary market beyond that externally. Is there some plans around that?
We don't have anything like concrete in the works. We have reached out to T0, and that'll be our that's obviously the biggest secondary market that people want to get in as far as security tokens and stuff like that. And I think we'll know a little bit more about that in about 2 weeks as to how that's gonna play out. But otherwise, I'm really excited about the peer-to-peer transactions. I think that's kind of the part of it that people don't realize, like the fluidity of being able to take ownership of a property and sit across. Like you could go out to like dinner with friends, and maybe one of them pays for the bill, and then you reimburse the other one, and it's like, do you want cash, Bitcoin, or
real estate,
or do you want some real estate tokens? Kind of thing. And as long as everyone's signed up on the platform and goes through the KYC and the AML and then gets their Ravencoin wallet whitelisted to be able to accept the tokens, then that's like a real thing. Just transfer of ownership, just cell phone to cell phone. Even it's pretty amazing stuff.
It's the new frontier. The new frontier. Yeah, I like how you put it. Yeah, do you want cash? You want some crypto, or you want some property? It's how do you want to be paid? that's
yeah.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, I didn't even think about that actually in terms of just that simplicity in terms of going forward, what we can do from that perspective. That's great.
Yeah. You would be able, anything that's tokenized and you hold it in, your Mango Farms asset wallet, and you just get on there and you can, gives you the ability to transfer any kind of wealth to anyone. And some very small increments.
Yeah, exciting stuff. But yeah, T0, I agree. I mean, T0, we were speaking about T0 is going to be obviously the ultimate where we like to sort of, which gives obviously the token holds more liquidity, is ultimately where we want to be. Obviously, there's a few more steps between them and them. That's more more the long-term vision. Obviously, more in the immediate sort of timeline. Obviously, we've got the real estate exchange, which is obviously owned by DigiShares. Obviously, makes it easy there. Obviously, it's within the family, within the stable. They actually know who we are, with yourselves and ourselves, obviously. And we see the real estate exchange. I actually saw the platform the other day. So Mark Danker, I actually had a session with Mark, who's the key guy there, and he showed me the platform. It's a fantastic platform, easy to use. And I've always said to Klaus, when we started the journey, when we were basically obviously looking who was going to be creating our platform, and that was very much in the conversation where we said, what about secondary market? And Klaus straight away said basically in our roadmap, definitely the real estate secondary market is actually on our plans to then introduce a secondary market as part of our family. So that excited me. So seeing it now, obviously this is 18 months, 2 years later, seeing it, having the conversation with Mark, and him showing me the platform over the Zoom session 2 days ago, that sort of just reaffirmed that the guys, that you can talk it, but you got to deliver, and the guys are delivering. Obviously, they haven't launched yet, and I've actually, as I said to Mark, I said, so launch is a Q4, Q1 next year. And I said, I've been telling everybody it's Q4 that you're launching, so not to put any pressure on you. So, but just on the secondary market side of things, at the moment, the initial plan that they have is to be Ethereum. They only have Ethereum, but I actually I challenge his thoughts about, obviously, we're tokenized on Ravencoin, and I mentioned yourselves also that are tokenizing on Ravencoin. So actually, we had a good discussion around that in terms of how Ravencoin might play a part in the real estate exchange platform as a secondary market. So I guess there'll be a different conversation we need to have, because obviously I like to think that both of you can help me and obviously Jake and some of the people at Ravencoin convince them how that should be added to their platform, which makes sense. And he was very positive. And I actually promised him to connect with a couple of people that, like with Tron Black and so forth, to sort of look at that in a more deeper position, because again, I think I like the platform. Like I said, it's easy to use. Think of any sort of crypto DEX out there. It's like the real estate crypto DEX, but in a much more easier way to use. So is that something you have you had any thought around that in terms of, obviously you would have been abreast with Klaus in terms of what they were planning for as far as the real estate exchange as part of their roadmap? Is that something you've had any sort of thoughts about?
I think it's absolutely amazing. I think being able to have, because I don't know how many people own DigiShares platforms. They've got about 60. I think 60.
Yeah, it's up there now. Yeah.
Customers. So being able to take everyone's independent projects and then provide a secondary market for your own, for your own customers, I think that's the best way to go. More liquidity, more exposure, everyone that way, when everyone that uses their platform markets their project, they're actually bringing in customers and investors for all of us.
Yes.
And so I think it's
win-win for everybody.
It's a real win for everyone. Yes.
And one of the key things also around is that, so like yourselves and our platforms on DigiShares, because obviously people have to do their KYC and AML. So if we list on the secondary market real estate exchange, people don't have to actually do another KYC on their platform because it's already done through us, and that makes things a lot easier. So rather than sort of doing it, and they don't have to. It's already been done within the environment, which is fantastic.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It is.
That's very exciting. I'll put the pressure on that Q4, but I think from a coin perspective, I think might be a few plan. But it's fine.
I know you're kind of teasing the Q4 thing, but does he have an actual date that they think that they'll have that up and running?
No. There's a few things that are putting pressure on him. So, I mean, a couple of things are out of their control, which is sort of holding things up a bit. They still like to think Q4 is realistic. Again, that magic wand. But I think realistically, obviously it's been recorded, so hopefully I'm not speaking out of school here, but I think Q1 is probably more realistic. I think Q4 happens, I think it'd be fantastic. But I think more realistically Q1, because by then, obviously, hopefully, we'll have a fee already on the Ravencoin blockchain to be able to participate in terms of their early people that are going putting their properties on their platform. I think you guys are going to like how it looks. It's just very easy. Think of real estate listing in terms of online real estate listing. We've got realestate.com. It's even much more appealing to the eye than that. And the ease of actually doing it. Think of any DAX you guys have used on cryptos. It's even much easier. It's just really nice on the eye, the simplicity of it, which is fantastic. We're pretty excited. After seeing it, I'm actually excited now. And so see the fundamentals of it. Yeah. But there is a couple of things. Sorry.
Oh, I just said it brings it to life. That's seeing it.
Absolutely. Look, there is a couple of hands up. There's Philly's got his hand up. I'll be having problems with Felix. I've added him as a speaker, but he'll probably find I had the same thing last week. I don't know why, but I won't be able to hear him. So I'll be guided by you, Sarah and Dan, in terms of his conversation because I can't hear him. So Philly, go ahead, Philly.
Hey, thank you everybody for having another one of these spaces. The question I'm going to ask is related to third-party accounting, but I want to frame it first. So assuming that this is going to catch on fast and there's going to be a lot of deal flow, especially if you're looking to try to get to a deal a week, then it becomes obvious to me that there's going to be some sub-management companies that could be harnessed as basically resellers of your platform.
Yeah, okay, sir, that Philly's talking because I can't hear it, so make sure we haven't got this nice sound.
Yeah, he's going right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so assuming that in order to handle deal flow, you have rules put in place for sub-management companies to provide deals to you, has there been any thought put into third-party accounting, like maybe a Big 4 or a Big 6 accounting firm?
We haven't reached that size yet, so that really hasn't come up in conversation. But I am aware that maybe or literally an accounting company that actually knows what digital securities are and is familiar with blockchain and stuff like that. And yeah, we would not be opposed to having a different accounting company just come in and make sure everything's the way it needs to be. Dot all the I's and cross the T's.
Oh. Did we lose connection?
So Philly's is good. Is Philly's? I can't hear him.
Yep. Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, Philly. Yeah, we had the same problem last week. For some reason, just keeps going around. I can't hear him. So, but just I'm always guided by. I think Jake sort of guided me last week. So yeah, but my mobile must not like Philly for some reason. So no offense, Philly. We love Philly. But yeah, you got to watch those accountants, guys. That as you, we're quite fortunate. Obviously, we got an internal one, me myself, obviously. But I mean, with ours, we're actually going to get an audit. We're going to get the accounts audited for each company. So we're going to have engage an external audit to audit the accounts every year, and having a professional valuing our properties. So that sort of keeps things very much transparent from that perspective. Because obviously it makes sense. We've got the resources internally to do the accounting work. But in terms of actually making sure there's a transparency, we're engaging an external accountant to go through the process, making sure it's all signed off by an external party. But that's sort of the compliance side of things, I guess. And I guess in the space we're in, that's really critical. What we're doing, being global.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's necessary. Yeah, we have just an internal bookkeeper here, but we do have a CPA that kind of gives the golden stamp to everything and goes through all of our stuff every month.
CPAs are good. CPA.
Yeah.
Not that I'm biased. But no, that's fantastic. Look, I'm just trying to keep to the hour, but really great insights in terms of what you guys are doing. It's fantastic, really exciting, and we're glad to be on a journey with these guys and obviously supporting each other. And as again comes back to those fundamentals about rising tides and raises all boats, and I think between us and obviously as Jake sort of follows us at the moment, there's actually only 3 known projects that are going to be tokenized or are about to planning to tokenize on the Ravencoin blockchain. So it's just a matter of getting awareness out there in terms of us as examples, and hopefully people will follow us and we have more activity, because obviously, as we know, the more activity there is on the Ravencoin blockchain, it benefits everybody involved, the miners and what have you. So I've just been putting it out to the miners, be patient. There's a lot of real estate property coming onto the chain, so it's coming.
It is. It's exciting.
It is. But look, really appreciate your time. I know obviously it's in the middle of the day for you guys in the US, and especially in the central time zone, makes it a bit right smack in the middle of the day. And I'm just trying to get through stuff over there that's keeping those properties in order and keep it to the time. Really appreciate your time, Dan and Sarah, and maybe like I said in a couple of months' time again, hopefully we can get another update in terms of especially when you do just before launch. It'd be great to have you on just before after launch, so to people know what's actually happening from your perspective.
Yeah, we would love that, and thank you so much for having us today. We appreciate it, and all that you're doing, holding these spaces every week. It's awesome.
Thank you. And like I said, it's we're all doing a little bit. So trying to bring mainstream to tell them what the opportunity in the new space is around real estate. So again, it's we're all playing our part, and hopefully, that we can fast track people to coming out from mainstream to again access properties from anywhere in the world, and that's the things that we're doing yourselves. But really appreciate it. Just to sort of the wrap up in terms of a few things, a few reminders. So this weekend we got Braveland, and this weekend at Braveland, so it's a metaverse campus that's obviously it's funded by the Ravencoin blockchain in terms of maintaining it. So, but this weekend it's all about real estate at Braveland. It was actually a great idea that Philly actually brought up. I facilitated, Philly facilitates a few of us that always facilitate the monthly event at Braveland. So it's Saturday at 4 o'clock at US Eastern Standard Time. So, but this weekend's about real estate and not just Ravencoin, but all chains. So we're inviting all platforms. It doesn't matter what blockchain you're tokenizing on, to come along. So share it out there. Invite people along. I'll put a link in this session, and you can then share it across to people to invite them along to again people that invite people to, if they're interested in looking at buying property tokens into tokenised real estate. Invite them along, and they'll get to hear players like ourselves. Hopefully, Dan and Sarah, I'm not sure if you can make it or not, but be great to have you along there, because it's about everybody sort of telling in a very 5 minutes sort of it's a 5 minute slot to sort of brief in terms of what each party's doing, and hopefully provide awareness for people that are looking at buying tokenised real estate, and hopefully maybe those people that are already tokenising their properties on a particular chain that might not be happy, as we were last year. So I'm sure, as it's still early, people still obviously finding their feet in terms of what chains they're tokenising their property on. So again, it's one of those things. It's about educating, and it's people got to pivot if they're not happy where they're at. There's always alternatives like the Ravencoin blockchain to tokenise on. So that'll be really exciting. And the SOS is working on some music. So our favourite NFT artist, musician, he's actually got some material that's specific for the event in addressing all the chains. So I was actually on that message with him a couple of days ago, and he was asking a couple of things that something's putting together special for the event. So he'll be doing our concert, our musician. Looking forward to some of his fantastic music. And a bit of fun. In those ones that want to take out boats, there's some boats there that you want to sort of have some races in the metaverse. There's some boats there that you can take it out there as well. So that's Braveland. Tomorrow we've actually got ourselves. We've got our Ask Me Anything AMA with security tokens markets. So the guys there with Jackson and Carl and the guys, we're sitting down with them on their Discord and actually having a session. They've actually they've been kind enough to feature us as their community member as part of the security tokens market. So they've done an article on us during the week, and they're actually doing an AMA. So it's tomorrow. That's Thursday 4 p.m. Sorry, Thursday at 4:30 p.m. US Eastern Standard Time. So if you can join, it'd be great. If not, there'll be the recording again, and we're actually making an announcement around our second property, the Brick Dolphin. So we're making some announcements around that, around timing and what have you. So really excited about to announce on their show for the exclusive on their show tomorrow. So looking forward to that. If there's nothing else, thank you all for joining us. A shout out for the people that are still here: Cowboy, Property T, Russell, Brave. Philly, thank you so much. And again, a massive thank you to Dan and Sarah also for joining us today as our special guests. Take care all. Have a fantastic day, evening, morning, depending where you're at. And same time, same place next week. Take care. Stay safe. Bye now.